everyone, it's Miss Fountain, and we're going to start talking about Chapter 12 in your textbook, the North and South. So let's take a look at a couple of things. So we see the title, North and South, Chapter 12. Let's look at some of these headings. The first lesson, Lesson 1, the Industrial North. Lesson 2, People of the North. Lesson 3, Southern Cotton Kingdom. Lesson 4, People of the South. So the first couple lessons will be about the North, second couple lessons about the South. Let's take a look at this picture. These women worked in one of the many booming industries of the North, a mill in Lowell, Massachusetts. This is 1820 to 1860. Asking essential questions. How does technology change the way people live? How do people adapt to their environment? Why do people make economic choices? What will I learn? In this chapter, I will learn how industry and agriculture affected the development of the North and the South. I will also explore slavery's role culturally and economically. Why does this matter to me? Technological advances of this period shaped much of the United States as it exists today. Inventions including the railroad, steamboat, and the telegraph transformed transportation, communication, and production, and affected how and where Americans lived. How will I know that I learned it? I will be able to explain the impact of new technologies and explain why the North focused on industry and the South on agriculture. I will also be able to describe the lives of workers, farmers, and enslaved people. So this is one of the key points from Chapter 12 that we really want to go over is why did the North become focused on industry, factories? Why were there more factory workers in the North? And in the South, why was it more focused on agriculture, farming? Why was there so much farming in the South? Why did these two regions become so different? That's going to be a key factor for the Civil War, so it's something we want to pay attention to. So let's take a look. Place and time. This is on page 426, 1820 to 1860. Territorial expansion, 1840. The United States was an expanding nation in 1840. Settlement had moved westward, and new cities and industries were emerging in the North and South. So this map's in 1840, so it's before the Mexican-American War. And so you can see this territory over here still belonged to Mexico. Step into place, geographic reasoning. This is how the United States looked in 1840. Some areas were states, some were still territories, and some belonged to foreign nations. The 10 cities shown were the 10 largest cities at that time. So, Albany was a huge city. Boston was a huge city at the time. It still is. New York, so New York City. Brooklyn. Northern Liberties. And then Philadelphia. Baltimore. Charleston was the biggest city in the South, along with New Orleans. Again, remember importance of New Orleans at the mouth of the Mississippi River, connecting to the Gulf of Mexico, connecting to the Atlantic Ocean. That was a very important city because of its location along the Mississippi River. Generally, all these cities are near water. Access for water for transportation, shipping, etc. That's a key feature. So they're on rivers, or they're in bays, or they're right on the Atlantic Ocean. We have Cincinnati as well. Cincinnati, Ohio is also along a river, which will connect to the Mississippi. And again, New Orleans is on the Mississippi River and connects to the Atlantic Ocean through the Gulf of Mexico. So those are our largest cities in 1840 in the United States. Number 1, exploring region. In what regions of the country are all the organized states located? You see, pretty much over here on the East Coast, most of them are organized. Number 2, exploring place. Where are the largest cities located? And again, I already talked about that, on or near a body of water. Number 3, spatial thinking. What factors do you think help these cities grow? So there's a variety of factors. I can go into that, but again, shipping was a key factor. Again, that helps with their location near a body of water. Step into the time. Understanding chronology. Chronology just refers to time, the order of things. Review the timeline. Identify an event on the timeline that might help explain the growing immigration in the United States during this era? Explain your answer. So, let's take a look. U.S. presidents, 1817, 1825, we had James Monroe. During his presidency in 1824, U.S. and Russia settled Northwest Coast land claims. So again, they settled the Oregon Territory and Alaska. So Alaska belonged to Russia. 1820, Antarctica is discovered. The last continent is discovered. And let's see, 1825, world's first public railroad opens in England. Railroads will become a very important technology in the United States later on. 1825 to 1829, John Quincy Adams served as president. 1826, the James Fenimore Cooper's Last of the Mohicans is published. This became a very famous book. And then, let's move on. 1829 to 1837, Andrew Jackson served as president. In 1834, in U.S. events, the McCormick Reaper is patented. So this will be an important invention for agriculture. It's a farming tool, mechanical farming tool, makes it easier to farm. 1832, Greece is world events. Greece recognized as independent state. Let's keep going. Martin Van Buren in 1837 was elected president, served till 1841, and he was followed by William Henry Harrison, who again has the shortest term as presidency. 1841 to 1845, John Tyler served as president. While he was president in 1844, Samuel Morse sends the first telegraph message. Again, another important invention that would affect communication in the United States. 1845, Ireland experiences famine. That will also affect the United States. 1845 to 1849, we have James Polk. 1848, James Marshall discovers gold in California. And again, so that following year, 1849, we get all the 49ers rushing to California for gold. 1849 to 1850, Zachary Taylor serves as president. In world events, 1851, gold discovered in Australia, so different part of the world. 1850, 1853, Millard Fillmore served as president. 1853, 1857, Franklin Pierce served as president. And 1857 to 1861, James Buchanan served as president. Now, also in 1857, we have the Sepoy Rebellion begins in India, and that was a rebellion against British rule in India. Not a successful one. Alright, so what I would like to do now, just really briefly, after this video, you're going to take the vocabulary quiz. You can look up the words online, the definitions, so you get more familiar with them before. So let's take a quick look at all the highlighted words. So we're just going to go through. We have innovation, so you can look that one up. Again, these are all in your textbook. Clipper ships, transformed, telegraph, Morse code, trade unions, strikes, prejudice, discrimination, communities, licensed, famine, nativists, productivity, process, consequences, domestic slave trade, yeoman, an overseer, legal, spirituals, slave codes, brief, Underground Railroad, literacy. So you guys can look up all these words online and then take the vocabulary quiz. You can take it more than once, and the vocabulary quiz will keep your highest score. Alright, that's pretty much it, and then we will continue going through the lessons, lesson 1 through 4, about the North and South.